Good morning lads, my name is Otinium and today we're going to continue where we left off last time. So we're going to try and terraform this entire sort of platform and hopefully make it look quite nice. Now we are pretty much free to do whatever we want in most places except for this patch right here. Now I want this spot to be water simply because one, the grass looks dark, dull and quite awful, and number two, it's spawnable because it is in the ocean biome. But apart from that, we're pretty much going to freestyle it. Now let's see exactly where the border between ocean and mushroom biome is. Okay, so this is the patch where I need it to be water. Now let's try and make it look a bit more natural. There we are. Okay, now my idea was that the middle of this platform will be a lake, and this is pretty much the shape that we will fill it with water later on. Now, I made this small canal that will lead into the patch where we wanted there to be water, which I thought would be the most elegant solution to the positioning of it. Now I need to make some platforms where I'm planning to build some fountains in the future. That way we'll know how to shape the bottom of the lake accordingly. Cool, now we'll build the bottom of the lake and fill it up with water, and it looked pretty natural to me. So next on the agenda is to terraform both of these sides and make it look somewhat presentable. So I marked out the middle of this side, which is where I want the paths to be. Now the plan for our paths is to try and make them look a bit weathered and run down. So the blocks that I picked for it are some of different stone types as well as their mossy variants, which I hope will make the paths sort of transition into the grass a bit more elegantly. So the strategy here is to spam my shovel around and get a rough idea of where the path will lead. Okay, so the path is somewhat finished and I've started terraforming a tiny bit, but I realized that these might get in the way of the second layer's pillars that I'm planning to build. So let's go ahead and get those pillars up so we can shape the area accordingly. Okay, so that was a bit embarrassing. However, this gives me the opportunity to talk a tiny bit about the plans for this terraforming project. I want this area to be a sort of overgrown foresty area with a bit of a mellow feel to it, with lanterns hanging down from overgrown trees and stuff like that. Now, I want to make something quite clear right from the get-go. I'm not a great builder, and terraforming in particular is one of my weakest points, which is the biggest reason I've designed my base, making sure that there's lots of it. Simply because it will hopefully allow me to practice and get better at it. But anyways, now all the pillars are in place and fortunately I didn't have to change much. Now this area right here is looking really empty and boring, so we should probably go ahead and deal with it. Now I don't think I want it to be another sort of sharp hill like the others, so I reckon we should just have a slight elevation right here. And something like this will do nicely. Right, let's get to the other side. Right, so I've now planted a ton of trees on both sides. Now, the reason I did this was because I needed some form of indication as to where all the trees would go in terms of exact position. So these default generated trees will act as a bit of a template in that regard. So let's get to removing all the leaves. it is looking quite gloomy right now. But all the leaves have been taken care of. Now all we need to do is to place all the leaves back in a messier fashion to make it look a bit more interesting. And in order to familiarize myself a tiny bit with how to build custom trees, I've made a new creator world. So I came up with 3 different designs with 3 different sizes, so I think I have somewhat of an idea how to make them. Now that time-lapse did not make that project justice at all. In that time-lapse you saw there, there's roughly 4 hours of footage, and I was only recording when I was actually building, so that was 4 hours of active leaf placing. But now all the leaves are in place, and I must say, it sort of looks a bit like a jungle, which is definitely not what I was going for. But I reckon when I have the paths lit up with lanterns, we should hopefully be able to make it look a bit less like a jungle and more like I've envisioned it. Now we should go ahead and add the finer details. So I was thinking of having small patches of farmland around this lake with wheat and potatoes growing, which I think would look quite nice and add a touch of detail. Now I thought it would be a cool idea to sort of make the area look like a flower forest, but in order to pull that off, I need a ton of flowers. Unfortunately, Quixote has a flower farm, so I've asked for her permission to steal some, and here we are now at her base. Okay, I reckon I'll just start off with this and come back if I need more of them. Okay, let's just go ahead and bone meal these tall ones. Okay, so after some placing and a trip to Quixote's again, I've managed to place in all of the flowers as well as both bone mealing and lighting up the lake. But now we need to take care of the thing that will be held up by those pillars, as it is a bit of an eyesore at the moment. So I've smelted up a bit of sandstone, so let's get to it. Now, I know this has been a really time-lapse heavy episode, but I thought it would be nice to get a bit of a showcase in the form of a budget cinematic of the work that we got done here today. I hope you enjoy. Okay, if that didn't make you cringe, I have no idea what will. But jokes aside, I'm actually really happy with what we ended up with here today. And as I said earlier, I'm not particularly good with terraforming or building in general, and I'm sure most of you would be able to make this look way better. But I'm honestly quite happy with it, as it turned out much better than I thought it would. But anyways, I spent quite a lot of time recording this episode, so I reckon it's probably time to end it here. If you enjoyed the video, please leave it a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of them. Also, feel free to leave suggestions of what you'd like to see in future episodes. But this is pretty much it for now. Have a good one.